You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
Hey y'all, I hope you're having an amazing school year so far. I want to invite you to join me in my free live masterclass where I'll be sharing with you 3 secrets to transform your counseling program, increase your impact, and finally get the recognition you deserve. I promise that you are going to walk away from this training with actionable steps that you can implement right away to immediately make an impact on your students and your counseling program. I'm really excited for this. I really hope you'll join me. We have a few different time options, so you can pick the one that works best for you. Go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/3 secrets. That's the number 3. So that's stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/3 secrets to sign up. Again, it's free, and I hope to see you there. Hey there. I hope you're having an awesome week. Thank you for listening to another podcast episode over here on School Counseling Simplified. So last week I was talking to you about data collection and how I encourage you to start that at the beginning of the school year. The second thing I think you should start at the beginning of the school year is organization. Now, organization, I don't know, it's kind of like controversial around educators. I feel like some people are hyper organized. I feel like teachers kind of tend to have this personality trait of like all the flair pens and the post-it notes, and they have great cursive and they're just like super organized. And then I feel like counselors, or a lot of the school counselors I know, myself included, are more like scatterbrained, and things are kind of, we have like a ton of good ideas that we're always trying to implement, and we're on top of it, like wearing a lot of hats, but at the same time, things are kind of messy. So I remember, and this is coming from someone who is innately not super organized. I now have systems in place to be organized that I've developed over the years, but innately like not a skill of mine. But I remember a lady I interned for when I was in grad school, and I was at her office at an elementary school, and she was just like all over the place, not organized, and it stressed me out. But then, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. How's she getting anything done? But then I learned that it is kind of like a common personality trait among counselors, I think. Again, I think it's kind of a positive thing. Like we're like, creative thinkers, have things going on in all the different directions. And so it's kind of hard to get organized. But I just want to know your thoughts. Send me a DM on Instagram at Bright Futures Counseling. I want to know if you consider yourself to be organized, just like innately, or if this is something that you've had to develop over the years. Is it, I'm just curious if I'm the only one who thinks this way. But all that to say, organization makes your life a lot easier. It makes your personal life a lot easier, and it makes your work life a lot easier. The more organized you are, the more easily you can find things, the more efficiently that you can do things. And the reason we want to be efficient, the reason we want to be organized in school counseling is because being organized allows us to increase our efficiency, which helps us maximize our impact. And what I mean when I say that is see more students. The more organized we are, the more efficient we can be, the more students we can serve. If we spend less time searching for things and, digging for things, we can have more time to actually do the things. So instead of like searching for that permission slip in an unorganized pile of papers, we can actually see the student that we're trying to see, right? Or instead of looking for that group activity, we can actually run the small group. So we're serving more students. Being organized also allows us to get the recognition that we deserve. So we want to, appear reliable to our colleagues and our coworkers. We don't want to look like we're flaky or an unorganized mess. We want to be someone that they want to work with, who they want to collaborate with, and we want to display this to parents as well, and to our students, right? So there's a lot of benefits to being organized. It's kind of like a boring thing. It seems like, I don't really want to get organized. It seems like a waste of time. But I'm telling you, if you knew that you could make a few small changes and know that you were going to help more students than ever before and advocate for your role, who wouldn't want to do that, right? So you're probably thinking, okay, I'm sold. Sign me up. Let's get organized. But how do I get organized? Well, there's a ton of ways you can get organized. I mean, you can, digitally organize your desktop to make things more efficient. You can put everything in physical file folders, or print out all your group curriculum and put them into binders. You can color code things around your office. These are kind of like physical things you can do. But I want to talk about 2 systems that you can implement in your school counseling program to stay organized. And that is the caseload spreadsheet and the counseling log. So these are 2 things, I say I developed, but I'm sure other counselors have created their own as well. But basically, I didn't look at a template to make these. I came up with these on my own to meet a need that I had as a school counselor. And then I've been teaching other counselors about them ever since because they're total game changers. So the first one, a caseload spreadsheet. So a caseload spreadsheet is just a simple way to organize your caseload. And when I say the word caseload, you may be thinking, well, I wasn't assigned a caseload at the beginning of the year. That's not really how it works with counselors. And you're right. How it works is you receive referrals. That's usually how you decide who you're going to see, right? Like students will be referred to you, and then you'll either see them individually or group them with other students with similar needs into a small group or something. So you're going to get these referrals, and then what are you going to do? You need to get organized. So I recommend that you create a spreadsheet. Now, I love to use Google Sheets just because it kind of stays virtual in the cloud, whereas an Excel sheet is on one device. So it's nice to be able to access it across devices and share with others if you have a co-counselor, an intern or something. So on the counseling spreadsheet, the caseload spreadsheet, I like to put the student name, obviously, their grade level, their homeroom teacher or their teacher if they're elementary, the area of need, so why you're seeing them, and then I like to kind of have a checklist alongside it. So the other columns would say things like, did I send a permission slip? Have I received a permission slip? Have I contacted their parent? Have I scheduled the sessions? Did I find out the ideal time from the teacher, to meet? Things like that. So this way you can kind of keep track of who's doing what, and this allows no students to slip through the cracks. So it's the worst feeling, someone refers a student to you or hands you a permission slip or something in the hallway, and then it kind of gets you're unorganized, maybe it gets slipped somewhere else and you lose track of it because you're doing a million other things, right? And then what happens is that student doesn't get to see you as soon as, they had hoped or something like that. And we definitely don't want that to happen. We want to be available to see all of our students and to help as many kiddos as possible. So a caseload spreadsheet can help us to do that. Now, it's also a cool way to form groups. So when you look at all the data there, you can say, whoa, I can filter this column for area of need, and I see that I've got 4 or 5 kiddos around the same age who are all struggling with grief this semester. Well, you can form a grief group. You can even, color code it to show which students are in groups and which students are individual. I didn't mention those are 2 columns I forgot to mention. I like to write if they are an individual, if I'm going to see them individually or if I'm going to see them in a group. And then I like to write how I received the referral. So who referred them? Was it their parent, the teacher, the principal? Did I refer them? Was it a self-referral? How were they referred to me? So that's a great way to organize. You can even make this, you can get as fancy as you want. That's the most basic way. And you can just do X's or check marks to, indicate these things like the to-do list portion. Or you can even use links. So maybe your permission slips are virtual, or digital, you could, link to a digital photo of the permission slip, something like that. So you have it all organized together. So that's one way. Another way I like to get organized is with a counseling log. I recommend, so these are 2 separate things, a counseling spreadsheet, caseload spreadsheet, and a counseling log. But you can kind of have a hub where you just have tabs at the bottom of your sheet so you can kind of toggle between the 2. I think this is a nice feature because you can have these pulled up all day on your computer at work. Now, the counseling log is different than this caseload spreadsheet. It's going to have student names, but you're organizing it by date, and you're just going to show who you saw that day and a brief little summary of what you did with them. So name, date, kind of, how long you met with them for, and a little summary of what you did. Now, of course, you don't want to be super specific because, of risk of a confidentiality breach or something. You just want to kind of write some notes so you can remember for yourself, and then maybe write a few notes about if anything special happened or anything particular you want to remember about that student. Now, last week I was talking to you about data collection, and we were talking about services provided, and I said you could reference a calendar or counseling log to figure out how many times you met with a student. This is the log I'm talking about. You can go on here and, count or search the student's name because it's digital, and then figure out how many times you met with them. So it's a great, easy way to stay organized and simultaneously track some data. So those are some examples of how you can get organized at the beginning of the school year. I think these two things are, it takes very little time to set up initially, and they are such a game changer. So like I said, I came up with these to make my own counseling life easier. I've taught them to other counselors, and I've heard great things. So I really hope you try it out. Like I said, there are so many ways you can get organized, like with your desk and with your materials and physical things, but these are just 2 digital things you can start tomorrow or today if you're listening to this in your commute into work, that I think will really help you out this school year. Now you may be thinking, okay, we talked about why do I need to be organized? And you said, I get it. I want to increase my efficiency so I can see more kiddos, spend more time doing the things instead of searching for things, and increase my reliability and, not appear like flaky to my colleagues. And then I shared with you 2 ways to actually get organized. So 2 things you can start doing today, the caseload spreadsheet and the counseling log. But you may be thinking, I see the need for this and I'm inspired, I want to get organized, but I have a couple objections. I just don't have the time. That's why I want to tell you that the little bit of time that you invest into getting organized will save you so much time in the back end, right? So you may be, I don't think you realize how much time you may be wasting accessing things before you get organized. So I feel like this happens to me all the time where, like a recipe, this is unrelated to counseling, but I use the Notes app on my phone for everything. And I keep recipes in there. So I'll copy paste the recipe from a website and put it in there. So then if I want to cook, I make these Korean barbecue tacos. So I would just type Korean barbecue, it comes up, and then I have the recipe there, the ingredients list and everything. Well, for this one recipe I was kind of lazy and I didn't copy paste it and put it all in there. So I just have a link to their website. So you just go to the Notes app, click the link, and it takes me straight to that website page. Because if I were to try to find it, then I'll get sidetracked on social or something. But the problem is, it's like a food blogger. So if you follow any food bloggers, you may know that they have tons of pictures and stories and stuff before they get to the actual recipe. So if you go in ads and videos and stuff. So if you push the print recipe, it just pulls up a very simple version of it. Well, that's what I wanted, right? And I make these weekly. But instead of saving that link, every week I click it and then I have to scroll and I have to click the print version, and it's just such a waste of time. If one time I would just copy paste the link to the print version and link to that instead, I would literally save 5 minutes every week. And I'm not a math teacher, so I don't know how many that is a year, but it's a lot. It's 52 times 5. So anyways, 250, 300, I don't know. But what I'm saying here, that again, me with the long-winded examples that are unrelated to counseling, but basically that's a little small organization tweak I can make to my life that will save me time. So yes, the reason I haven't done it yet, I'm going to do it when we get off this podcast, I promise. But the reason I haven't done it yet is because it's I'm already cooking. I don't want to take the time to, reorganize the note. But once I do, it's going to be such a game changer. Another one I thought of also relates to cooking. I love to cook. So I'm in Costa Rica, and my oven, my stove and oven had Celsius as the degree. So if something's set it to 350, it's not 350, it's a different number, it's in Celsius. For some reason, the U.S. still likes to use Fahrenheit when everyone else uses Celsius and meters and such, but anyways, that's another podcast. So every time I would cook daily, I would Google, what is 350 in Celsius? Then I finally just found this chart that listed the conversion, screenshotted it, and made it a note on my phone. And it saved me so much time. The, initial 5 minutes it took me to find the chart, screenshot it, and make a note. Then all I had to do was go to my chart. Every time it's right there. I don't have to, Google it every time. And again, anytime I start Googling something, I get distracted. So all that to say is that you will save time. So if you're thinking, I don't have the time to get organized, I don't have the time to set up a caseload spreadsheet or a counseling log. Believe me, the initial investment will pay for itself tenfold. Or maybe you're thinking, I see the need for getting organized, but I'm just bad at technology. This just sounds too hard. Again, Google Sheets are super simple. I mean, you could do this on a piece of paper if you're like, I'm just refusing all things digital. I don't want to be on my computer anymore. You could write it out on a piece of paper, but I do encourage you just to keep some kind of counseling log and caseload spreadsheet. I think digital's best because it's easy to edit. You can search, you can share, access across devices, not lose it. The list goes on, not spill coffee on it. Well, you could spill coffee on your computer, but that would be another problem. But anyways, please don't let technology overwhelm or intimidation get in your way of doing this because it's totally simple and accessible. Or maybe you're thinking, I see the need for getting organized, but I've always done it this way. I've always just written my case notes on little sticky notes, and it's kind of worked for me so far. And I have to tell you, I get it. Like maybe you're, a 5-year counselor or a 10-year counselor, and you're thinking, I've always done it this way and it works. If it's not broke, why fix it? But I'm here to tell you that, there is a better way. And like I said, this really transformed my program. It sounds simple, but it was a game changer, and I've seen the results in my own program. So I really encourage you to try it out. A few organization things go a long way. And remember, I want to, circle back to the purpose of why we want to be organized. And it's not so it just looks pretty and everything has a place. It's so we can reach more students, maximize our impact, and get that recognition that we deserve. So if this sounds appealing to you, if you like this episode, if you're thinking yes, I want to get more organized, I'm motivated to do this, I hope you'll join me in my free live masterclass where I'll be sharing with you 3 secrets to transform your counseling program so you can increase your impact and get the recognition you deserve. So there are a few available times. So there's different times. So pick the one that works best for you. You can sign up at stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/3secrets. That's the number 3. So stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/3secrets. Or go to the link in the show notes. Or if you still didn't get it, send me a DM at Bright Futures Counseling and I will get you signed up. Okay, guys, I hope to see you there. I'm really pumped on it. And I will talk to you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.